What a lovely story. Thank you so much for sharing that
It
story.
was
And
a great time.
congratulations
It
on
was
that.
loads of fun.
That's
Loads
a
of fun.
remarkable
And
accomplishment.
different. There was then let's see, the Smothers Brothers took over the show. There
Oh,
was loads of fun working with them. There was an all black cast that came. It
really?
was great. Yeah, it was a great time.
That's
A
amazing.
great time.
So, in the world of musicals, explain the meaning behind the conductor is the Buddha. What do you mean by that when you
Well, it's
say
like
something like that?
when Leonard Bernstein is conducting. It's what Leonard Bernstein wants. It's not let's take votes. What does the viola section think? He has a vision,
Okay.
and if he hears a wrong note, he'll let you know he hears a wrong note. If he hears a triangle coming in a 16th note too soon, he'll make sure that that doesn't happen again. The conductor is in charge. And it's all of our job to say, aye, aye, sir. It's not our job to say, Lenny, I think maybe the basses, maybe we should play pizzicato on this part of Beethoven's Fifth.
Right.
No. Lenny has spent years knowing what it is he wants. So whether it's Leonard Bernstein or a 22-year-old kid on the podium for a Broadway show, they are the Buddha, and it's our job to say, uh, tell me what you would like, and tell me if you're not happy with what I'm doing.
So have you had the opportunity to work with Leonard Bernstein?
No,
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 no. I was just curious.
no.
I asked because you mentioned him. My late husband actually they used to do some kind of a thing where they'd have the prodigies of New York City come and play with the New York
Right,
Philharmonic, and he
sure.
made his debut with Leonard Bernstein at 12 years
Oh,
old, just
fantastic.
prior to his bar mitzvah, I believe.
Fantastic.
So
Fantastic.
yeah, so I wondered. Yeah, he was a Juilliard pianist that got on the other side of the window, and one of his mentors was Herb Abramson. I don't know if you ever
No,
met
no,
Herb.
no.
He was one of the founders of Atlantic Records,
Okay.
but he was trained in the Army as a dentist. So he was going around, back in the beatnik days and finding people like Aretha Franklin and all
Great,
that. But
great.
he got recalled back into the service. So that
Right,
was when Jerry Wexler took over in the whole
right.
thing. But my
Got it.
husband had worked with him at A1 Studios in New York City
Oh,
before he
great.
took his bar mitzvah money and went out to Los Angeles to
Great.
start Crystal.
Great. Good
So,
story.
but you mentioned Leonard Cohen, so or Leonard Bernstein. So I wondered.
I just use that as an example of the
Yeah,
epitome of
of the whole
someone standing
the Buddha
on
thing that
on
they.
the, who's ever
Yeah.
on the podium, and not only who's ever on the podium. If you get called to work with a singer, a good singer, or not a good singer, they are in charge.
Yeah. Interesting. That is interesting. And that to me would take a lot of discipline in itself to not sort of let your ideas get in there like that. And again, that's definitely checking your ego at the door
No
kind of
question
thing.
about it.
That's one of the things that I sense about you. You have so much humility and, on this journey and in this musical road that you're on. In Broadway, do you find a lot of people that have a lot of ego, or are you finding people that have the humility to do it by the book and do it right? Is there a discipline that goes with doing those kind of jobs that you kind of have to have, or does the ego get in the way sometimes?
I teach a class at NYU with a wonderful conductor named Ted Sperling. About 6, 7 years ago, someone in the music department at NYU said to me, they had this idea that they wanted to form this thing called the NYU Broadway Orchestra, and would I be in charge of it? With the idea that, kids in college want to learn about the freelance world and stuff. So I said to the person, and just by fortunately, Ted Sperling was sitting in the same room. I said, there's no doubt that I have pearls of wisdom, but I'm not a conductor. if Ted will do it, I will do it with him and stuff. So I have to say, in all modesty, I don't think there is anyone who knows more about what musicians can do to get work and what musicians can do to not get work. And I am forever, we've been teaching this class for about 5-6 years, and one of my main things is to let them know that as a freelance musician, your work capabilities increase if you use if you don't use the pronoun I as much as possible.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because it's about who's ever in charge of it. What can I do to make life easy for you?
So what you're doing in a way, it's almost like you're like the Emily Post of advising people that want to get into the Broadway world, to work the pit or do whatever.
It's not about...
You don't think it's about etiquette?
It's not about which fork you should use.
Okay.
It's not about that. I think it's more about with any kind of job. With any kind of job. You're hired. There are a lot of people that can do the job description. There's not just one person who can do that job description.
Right.
So why would the person hire you as opposed to someone else? There are great bass players. Great bass players. And when the phone rings for one of those bass players, regardless of what the job is, whether it's with a $75 singer, whether it's a $50 blues gig, whether it's a double scale recording session, they all want the same thing. They all want the person to show up on time, play great, and be of good cheer. It's not complicated.
I had seen you online, fortunately for me, speak a little bit about the John Entwistle conundrum in terms of bass player for a Who show. And can you elaborate on that a little bit? Because you did that so beautifully in something that I saw you talk about how they want to come in. They want to come in and say, oh, I know this stuff by heart, and I just have it down, and I think I'd be perfect for you. But you spun it a different way. So.
Well, I'm not sure what I said, but myself and many of bass players throughout the world are huge John Entwistle fans. He is not, they talk about Townsend and Daldry, but us bass players would be the first ones to say, without Entwistle, that band would not have sounded the way that they did. He had a very unique musicality and a very unique sound.
Yes, he did.
to his bass playing. And one of the first guys that really used the pick very effectively with the bass, and a lot of guys wanted to get the exact same bass that he was playing and the same gauge strings that he was playing. So I'm not sure what I said.
You said here, I was so intrigued and so fascinated by what you said. I actually made notes. You said, okay, so you want to come in and play this. Well, I have to tell you right off the bat, it's not in the key that you think it's in. It's in the key of G flat, and there's a 5/4 measure right in the middle. So what do you?
This is about the issue of mostly rhythm section players, drummers, bass players, guitar players. Most of us musicians, and I can't say us because I didn't grow up in that world, but of people who grew up as kids playing in garage bands and things like that, reading was not a priority.
No.
People who played violin, people who played trumpet, people who played in orchestras, cello, whatever it is, reading was a priority.
Yes.
a lot of guitar players are not either readers or good readers.
Right.
A lot of bass players are not readers or good readers. Some rock and roll drummers are not good readers. So when the show like Tommy came about, or a show like City of Angels, or a specific kind of genre of a show, when people would say, "Oh man, I know all the Who tunes, I know all the Temptation tunes, I know all these things," but then when you say, and if a sub is going to go on that night, and the sub is doing the song in D flat, and they're handing out the music then, and you have to sight read it then, are you going to be able to nail that? And hopefully they'll be honest and humble enough to say, probably not. If I had a week to practice it, maybe I could. Maybe I could do it.
And that's like where someone would go on book, have an opportunity to go on book and watch the whole show and tape it.
But the idea is that if you use the analogy of musicians hired for a film score, there's no rehearsal.
Right.
You get there, and John Williams gives the downbeat, and you are going to have the best of the best. You're not going to have anyone that you say, I wonder what his sight reading is.
Right.
And everybody knows who the best of the best are. Everyone knows when you go to the playground to play basketball, everyone knows which guys are going to get the ball in the hoop, which guys are going to get the rebounds, which guys are going to have a good three-point shot. There's no mystery of who the great players are.
Right.
So the idea is, when a lot of young people now will say, I want to be in a Broadway show. Lots of reasons why they might say that. That's another issue. But the point is that they want to be doing it, and then all of a sudden when you say, especially to the guitar players, you can't say to someone, how good is your reading? Because as far as you know, my reading is good. From what I have to read, my reading's good.
Right.
But if you use the analogy of film score musicians, because sometimes, sight reading is less important now than it used to be, simply because with the internet we can Dropbox the music way in advance.
Oh, right.
But that doesn't
yes.
mean that 5 minutes before the show, the understudy is going to go on and it's in a different key. And you don't have a capo. That's what separates
Separates the men from the boys, really. Totally. Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. So there must be a lot of pressure with that level of discernment that you have when you're choosing people for these jobs. That's incredible.
But the interesting thing is, there are lots of people who have those skills.
Yeah.
And the hard part is, the hard part is all the people who aren't going to get it, for me.
Yeah.
Because lots of people.
That's actually really sweet that you're even sensitive enough to.
Oh, I'm more than sensitive. It's painful, because I'm as well aware as anyone else is of rejection. I'm well aware of what it's like, someone who you've worked many times with, and all of a sudden they decide they're going to go with someone else.
Yeah, rejection is a tough thing.
Many times, and I always answer when anyone writes to me or something. I always write them right back, because I know how devastating it is. These I wrote, I never heard back from this person. It can be crushing for us.
Yeah, it is. It is crushing, and it sort of shapes what happens day after day after day a lot of times. Yeah.
Actors are sort of used to it.
Yes.
Because actors don't get a call to say, you didn't get it. They either get the call, yes, you got it, or they don't hear back. We're not used to auditioning. we're used to either the phone rings for the gig or it
Right.
doesn't ring for the gig.
Right.
And we're used to, I did a whole bunch of gigs with this person, and now I see on the internet they're doing a gig with someone else.
Someone else, yeah. There's definitely a zen to that too, you know, and I have even found here in the Berkshires, all of a sudden, I felt so much competition and pressure for gigs.
Sure.
And I'm not competitive that way,
right.
never have been.
Right.
So I just resigned myself to, okay, I'm just going to sit back, work on my songs, put music out that I want to create and put out, and if the phone rings, I'll take the gig.
Right.
And sure enough, the phone started ringing after a while. So it's like, you know, they say you shouldn't do that. You need to be constantly pounding the pavement, but that's not always true. There's definitely a thing of there's you have to have breathing room.
Right.
There has to be breathing room. So that being said, we're talking about acting again. Mozart in the Jungle. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. I mean, it was just so wacky doodle. I get a phone call from a guy who's a casting agent at some off-Broadway theater that I had done. I'd hired musicians for some of the shows down there. He called me and he said, I remember seeing you in I Love My Wife. There's a show they've been auditioning actors for, really terrific actors.
Is this an Amazon original?
Particular role, they're looking for someone who has the oeuvre, the gestalt of a musician. And we've auditioned these great actors, great comic actors, great everything, but they just don't read musician. Would you be interested in auditioning? And as I told you, when anyone says, would you be interested in? Absolutely. So they send the part, some of the part of the script, and my wife Connie was extremely helpful. She's a fantastic actress who's done a lot of film and TV and stuff. And she gave me some pointers on it.
That's good.
So I go down there on Tuesday afternoon. They video me doing the thing, and unlike an actor, I said, "Oh, that was a fun thing to do," and now I'm on my way to do what I normally do. You know, I stopped there on way to a gig. It was just a fun thing to do. 2 or 3 hours later, I got a call. They want you, and they said, "Can we speak to your agent?" I said, "I don't have an agent."
Oh, wow.
So I called up a friend of mine who's an agent. I said, "I just got this thing. You want to be my agent?" He said, "Sure." That's how it came about.
That is just so amazing to me. It is truly amazing.
I was deer in the headlights. I really sort of didn't know. I mean, I remember one time, one of the first times I was there, and I'm sort of.
So you are cast as Dee Dee, the drug dealing percussionist, timpaniist for the New York City Symphony.
Correct. For 4 seasons.
That is so wild.
It was wild. It was wild.
So I did not really see a lot of the show, but I have to ask you, were you the comically relief for the show, or is the entire show sort of funny?
It was. You'd have to see it. I mean, you could see 10 minutes of it, and you'll get an idea of what it is. No, I wasn't the comic relief. It was more reality stuff.
Well, your bits were hilarious.
Yes,
your
they had good
bits were absolutely hilarious.
They had
I mean,
good bits,
there was one bit in particular that I just watched this last night, and I was in stitches.
When I'm wearing the
laughing.
diaper,
Well, the diaper was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, the diaper was really funny,
Yeah.
but you know, everybody's going to laugh at that.
right.
But this was the one where it almost seems like you're in a homeless encampment and you've got these big
Oh,
giant
that one.
timpani drums
That
out.
one, yes.
And you're banging on the drums,
Yeah.
and here come the police, and you're like, you mean to tell me that you don't have something better to do
right, yeah.
than to come to this ugly place and stop something so fucking beautiful from happening?
yeah.
And that was what I was on the floor.
Yeah,
I
that was-
loved
yeah,
it. I
that
th-
was fun.
and
That
you know,
was fun.
did you ad lib that
Yeah.
line?
Yeah.
You did. I have to high five you on that. You
I had lived
ad-libbed that
some
line.
of it. I mean, I
I
certainly
love
threw
that.
in the fucking, but yeah, no, they knew exactly what they wanted. There wasn't, you know, there wasn't a lot of improv, but
Yeah.
no, but they were. If I would do something and if it worked, they wouldn't say anything, and if it didn't work, then they would say something.
That was just incredible. You know, and it was so unexpected
Yeah.
to see something like that.
Yeah.
So anyone that has not seen Mozart in the Jungle, you definitely should watch Mozart in the Jungle because it's got to be great. I mean, just
loads of fun to do.
yeah. And they're not doing it anymore. They just did 4 seasons. And then
Supposedly, the story was, we thought there was going to be a 5th season, and we got really excited when we heard, I don't know if my character would have gone, but hopefully, that we were going to go to India.
oh wow.
So we were all pumped up about that. And at the last minute, a new person was brought on to do the programming for Amazon, and they decided, you know, let's get rid of some of the more, you know, sophisticated, esoteric, intelligent kind of shows. Let's go more for whatever, cops and robbers, or you know, things like that.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Ah, you never know. You know, the pendulum swings back and forth.
You never know.
Maybe it'll come back again.
Maybe.
So let's talk about recording. Tell me about your album that you did. Now, do you have one album out? Do you have many albums out? You have.
No, I've won. I skillfully avoided doing it for a good 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I skillfully avoided it. A combination of, I didn't quite know exactly what I wanted to do, and but my wife Connie, at one time she said she would hear me in the living room, you know, endlessly playing, you know, all I want is a room somewhere, and she said, enough already. Either record this or, you know, forget about it and stuff. So the next day I said, I'm not going to do it.
Oh, wouldn't it be lovely?
So I then decided, once I decided I was going to do it, I said, I need to pick my team that I'm comfortable with. So I didn't want to, as a contractor, sometimes I'm so in charge of putting everything together and stuff. I wanted as much as possible just to be the artsy-fartsy artist. But at the same time, I knew exactly what I wanted, so I wanted a co-producer.
There you go.
And I thought, it didn't take me long to decide that the person who I wanted was a great guitar player, producer named David Spinoza.
Oh, okay.
And then I thought about, who do I want as the engineer? And I gave that some thought. I'd worked with a lot of, in terms of the recording studio, knew a lot of engineers, and I decided on this guy, Michael Golub.
Okay.
And then I got together with the two of them, and I said, guys, here's the idea. The rule is that since I've chosen you guys because I trust you guys implicitly, and if the two of you guys think, for example, a take is good, and I don't, I'll go along with you. And we did it all one instrument at a time.
No kidding.
It all started with
Wow.
me on the guitar.
The acoustic.
I don't know what I'm doing on the guitar, but it sounds very impressive.
Well, I've heard you play. You sound very James Taylor-esque in your style. Yes.
One time that I played years ago at the Canterbury House with Joni Mitchell, and I turned over to Joni and whispered, I said, Joni, what's that chord? And she whispered back to me, I have no fucking idea what it is.
Because she was playing it all open tune.
Correct,
Right.
correct. So I knew exactly what I wanted. And so first I did the guitar track. Then I knew exactly what I wanted the bass to be doing. And then I decided certain musicians for certain tunes. Now, as freelance players, we can all do anything.
Did you have a click track? Did you play to a click track, or did?
Hopefully we did. Hopefully we did.
Well, you might not need one.
No, I think we did because we were doing one instrument at a time.
Right.
That's
But you're that good. That's why I asked you, because, like I said, you might not need one. You're that good. So.
well, we all needed it. We all needed it. And then, for instance, with the keyboard players were very, very interesting because I used different keyboard players for different tunes because I was thinking like, you know, any one of these guys could have done all these tunes. But I'm saying, who really, really resonates with this particular bag? And then what I did with them, I had them come in, I had the music for them. It was pretty much lead sheets. And I would say, okay, first do, I'm not going to say anything. First do what you would do to let them get that out of their system. And then I started sort of guiding them and know a little more of this, a little more of this. So I knew exactly what I wanted, but it would have taken me, I could have done it, but it would have taken me too long to have written everything out.
Right.
I'm good, I could do it, but I'm slow. And at the same time, once I knew, once we were working on a particular tune, I say, no, not that, not more this, not that. Once I sensed that they got that, then I said, okay, now forget everything I've said, and now play it. And those takes were magical.
Oh, wow.
Because they got what I wanted and then did what they did, knowing what I wanted.
What you wanted, yeah.
It worked out great.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But another example of it, there was, and it was the first time ever. I mean, the thing about doing the album for me was the first time ever that I was the Buddha. Because I'm used to saying, what do you want? And now my friends were saying to me, what do you want? That's why I didn't want to do it until I knew what I wanted.
Sure. And the title of the album, once again, is?
John Miller Takes on Broadway, or?
Is it Backstage?
No, Backstage Johnny.
I thought it
Backstage
was
Johnny.
Backstage Johnny, yeah.
Backstage Johnny, John Miller Takes on Broadway. Yeah. But one of the interesting things was, Oh, What a Beautiful Morning. I knew exactly what I wanted the a cappella chorus to do in the beginning. And I wrote everything out, every 16th note trill, everything. And I knew the voices that I wanted. I wanted to be, my idea was black singers doing white Appalachian harmony.
Oh, wow.
That was the idea. So I got the right singers who were very good readers, and I wrote out every little thing that I wanted. And when we were recording it, I said to Spinoza, you know, how's it sounding to you? He says, hey, you know exactly what you want. Keep on just going for it. Okay. The end, I said, this sounds great, everything I wanted. I came home, put it on the CD, and I hated what I had done. and I didn't know why.
Oh, that's interesting.
It didn't work. I woke up Spinoza. I said, Spinoza, I hate what I've done.
Oh
Why doesn't it work?
no. Is it for just one of the songs? For that one
No,
song?
that's the only song.
They own that one
had the
song.
acapella
That one
thing.
song. Okay, right.
There's a bright golden haze on the meadow, like golden oranges. There's an elephant's eye. That's all it was. And then I come in on a change of key and stuff there. That's all it was. 8 bars or something.
Right.
But I had slaved with, suspended fourths and all this kind of stuff. I said, Spinoza, why didn't it work? He said, I'll tell you why it didn't work. He said, because the goal of it is to lead to you singing. You set it up so it was like, you set it up, all these notes were perfectly lined up, perfectly, absolutely perfect chords that you wanted, but it didn't go anyplace.
Right.
It didn't make any sense. It didn't go anyplace. So I said to him, I can't do it again. I don't know where to begin. Because all I will hear is what I was hearing for all these months that I was working on. I said,
right.
I'm incapable of forgetting what I did and I'm very good as a bass player forgetting what I came up with, and someone says do something different and got it. I'm off and running with that.
Right.
But not me, who spent all this time vocally with
Right.
it. I said,
Right.
will you do it? I said, and get whatever singers you want. I leave it up to you completely. He got different singers. We did it. It sounded very good. When we're mixing it, I can't remember if I said it or the engineer said. It might have been me. I said, can we hear what it sounds like if we do Spinoza's and mine at the same time? And that's what we got.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it could have been the engineer. I can't remember.
How?
I can't remember. And it's insignificant who came up with
it.
it.
Could have been the engineer.
It could have been Spinoza. Who knows?
Yeah,
It's insignificant who.
Wow.
It's more interesting what we came up with.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was great to be able to have that detachment to say, Jesus, what I wrote just stinks.
Well, you know what? I myself, when I'm recording, it's always one of those things. It's always a cringe moment when I go back to listen to it, because I'm very, very picky about notes that I didn't hit right, or a phrasing or a breath that I didn't get right. And I'm a stickler. I won't put it out unless it's how I want it. And I've been arm wrestling with a producer on and off for the last year about certain things, because I want what I want and I know how I want it to be. And just because you missed this doesn't mean I missed it, and I'm not letting it go. So, and that's, we're all striving for perfection as artists. So, and look at you.
The luxury that I had. When I started doing this project, I was committed to one thing only. Because I had no idea what I was going to do with it, selling it or label. It was insignificant to me. I said, I want to love every note of music that's on it. That was my only goal. Now, it's easier to do when it's your own money, without someone saying, could you do this tune? Could you do a duet with this person? Could you, here's the budget that we're going to give you. No.
Of course,
I said to myself, whatever it's going to cost. And I knew, when I knew I was unbelievably happy with it, was when a label said, we want to put it out, but we have some money here. Is there anything you would like to remix? And I said, not one bar.
That's wonderful.
Correct.
When you picked your team that carefully too, that has a lot to do with it. That's wonderful. Wow.
So I encourage all of my friends to do their own, to do something that says, here is how I'm feeling about music at this point. in my life.
Because it's always a snapshot.
Correct.
Whenever we do it, you know, this is the one I'm working on is my third album, and it's a snapshot
Correct.
of where you are
Correct.
currently.
Correct.
So yeah. So you know, we've had such a wonderful talk here. So